Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining our latest round of awesome best practices to share with you. We got a really fun topic here on client advocacy boards, not client advisory boards, advocacy boards, CABS for short. We're going to talk about those, how those are working. We're going to talk about fun event ideas. We have some really cool guests and a lot of great value we're going to bazooka you with. So let's go right at it. Let's jump into some of the value here and some of the areas that we're going to cover. So to start out, when it comes to advisory boards, it's a great way to actually fuel a lot of your event ideas. So a great way to start with who could be on a board is one of the first things that advisors ask is, hey, who should I put together? What should I make a board around? When you think about a special group of people to get advice and guidance from, really think about who you're going after. We've talked a lot about target marketing. We've talked a lot about niches or a niche for you to focus on. That's the people that should be in your CAB. So really start there. Who are the people who have access to others? They might be clients you want to duplicate. They might be someone like a center of influence who would be, someone who can introduce you to others. But ideally, they're clients who you want to duplicate. They're ideal clients. They're within a target, and they have access to other people just like them. It's the biggest starting point. So as you get these people together, a CAB does not have to be super formal. You don't have to go to a 25-course meal at a Michelin-rated restaurant. It can be virtual like this. You get people together for 30 minutes virtually. It can be very informal. It's just about talking with people, and it's about getting their feedback and advice. So we've got a whole segment and videos in our workbook around how to invite people to these, how to run these. There's lots and lots of information in there on purpose, but really just inviting people, it's kind of flattering for them to be part of this, that, hey, you're someone we really enjoy working with. We want to get better at working with people like you and want to ask you to be part of a quick board just to give us some feedback. So some of the advisors that have done this, they've really gotten people in those niches and targets like we talked about together, and they've really gotten big results. And by having similar people on a CAB, it makes it a lot easier, kind of fuels it. For example, if you had a bunch of orthopedic surgeons, or you had a bunch of people that worked for a specific company, a certain company, a certain industry, it's easier for them to have like things. They already might be doing things together. They might have good suggestions on, hey, it's really hard for us to do something at this time. It's good for us to do that at that time. They might have things that they're doing that they just, invite you to. Say, hey, we all do this. Why don't you just come to our thing and we'll introduce you to everybody? Or they might suggest, gosh, we as a group, we really like, I don't know, going out to dinner on Fridays. If you take us out to dinner, we could get our other people like us there. So that's what you need. That's the whole point of this, is getting guidance from them. So if you get ideas from these people and then you implement their ideas, they're going to have some ownership over it. So they're going to not only attend any events that you do, but they're going to help bring people there. If they own it, they're going to help do it. It's kind of a mistake for you to give them a whole bunch of stuff and say, hey, this is what we're doing, you better come. If you let them pick what you do, when you do it, how you do it, let them guide every step of the way, and it really works. So there's a couple great practices in Florida who have done this. One down in Miami has got a lot of great guidance from their CAB on what they should do, when they should do it. Another great practice in Tampa implemented this in the last year. And it was neat to see that people in their niches, they actually said, hey, we want to get together with people like us. We want to get together with other technology company executives like us. And we love getting together on Thursdays for a happy hour. You throw a happy hour on a Thursday, other people like us would want to come. So that's the guidance you're looking for. Very specific, but remember that they are going to fuel your best fun event ideas. That's really the simple formula here. It's not rocket science. It's very straightforward, but it's getting those people together. It's asking them and leveraging their guidance. Now, look, You could have an individual advocacy board, right? You could have this conversation with one person, which I see some practices do. You could certainly take that approach and it works just fine. However, when you get a small group of people together who are similar, sometimes they have good ideas and they bounce things off each other. One might say, gosh, you could, if you came to my golf club, I could introduce you to everyone. The next person might say, oh my gosh, you should come to my golf club the next week. I'll introduce you to my people. That it really can spark some neat ideas. So their guidance is everything. All the best ideas have really come from them, which really works well. So keep it simple, target a group, get them together, just ask them, hey, we want to make it easy to get connected with other people just like you. You could even take like I've seen people use our IPA referral approach in these things and kind of say, hey, is there anything we could improve? We love working with you. We want to work with more people just like you. And then, the ask could be, how can we make it easier to work with other people like you? I mean, I've seen that be an easy format for those meetings. So remember, tons of info in our workbook on this. Just email me if you need a refresher copy of it. But the CAB workbook is fantastic. We also got a great workbook when it comes to event ideas. We call it the Purple Teeth Marketing Workbook. The name originated from an advisor that gets lots of clients when they drink wine. And the person said, when I drink wine, my teeth turn purple. So he deemed it Purple Teeth Marketing, because advisor said, every time I get together and drink wine with clients and their guests, the guests always become new clients because we're doing something we like together. It's a very simple formula. So we got a whole workbook on Purple Teeth Marketing, how to go about the events and how to do them. So we have an awesome advisor on, Rob Challenger from south of Houston. Rob's really good friends with Trevor Shakiba. I know a lot of you follow Trevor. A lot of you have learned from Trevor over the years his ways, like the IPA referral approach. So Rob's rocking on events, doing a lot of really cool things. So we wanted to interview him and learn what he's doing. So I love it, Rob. You're in the car on the way to events. Thanks for pausing the action to be on here today.
Seems like I'm always in the car. Thanks for having me here.
So let's start at a high level here, Rob. What's working for you? What kind of fun events are you doing, and what's working that others are liking to attend?
Mm-hmm. So one of the events that I started was to try to get around a group that maybe already existed. So a local cigar place has a bottle share. So I started getting a group of friends together to go up one Thursday night a month, bring a bottle of bourbon. They cook steaks out, and there's already some people there. So I'm bringing a group. That group's having fun. They're bringing more people. Everybody doesn't show up every month, but you usually have several. And then through that, I'm meeting the other people that are already there. Another is I took a group fishing in the spring. So three guys and myself on a boat with a guide for a half a day. Client, a friend, and the client's friend. So that started off as a small one. So that was successful. It's in a niche and at a company that I'm really trying to get to become the advisor that they refer their rollovers to when people get ready to retire. So in 2 weeks, we're doing another event where I've got two boats, and they're making it fun. We're going to get some of their managers involved. So I've got operators versus managers, and then we're going to be at a restaurant after for lunch, and I'm going to award a trophy. And so hopefully this can get some legs and grow a little bit more. So those are a couple of events that I've got going already.
It's really awesome to see. So you could see how Rob listened to his niches. He's doing things that they like, at places, activities they like to do when they like to do it. And it works. It creates easy access to people. Another cool thing, I'll share about Rob and the events he does. It's very targeted in these niches, but he's also leveraged just what he has going on in life, kids' schools, charity things that he does. He has, events rotating around those and gets access to people through that. Rob's wife, Christy's a badass real estate agent, and she hosts some events, which is cool. Rob, is part of those and gets access to people. So it's just neat to see all the action that he has and all of it that comes together that really works. But Rob, when it comes to getting people here, what are you doing to invite people? What do you say to people that's getting them there to participate in these events?
Yeah, so I'm really just trying to leverage a few relationships and being straightforward with the people because if it's a close friend or somebody that I've known a while, I don't have a problem talking to them and saying, hey, listen, I'm really trying to grow my business and I would like to do it within your company or your industry. Would you mind inviting some people to go fishing? And no, anything I can do to help is the response. Let me see, give me the dates. I'll see you can come out. And then I'm able to be a little more specific on the criteria and say, hey, look, if we just happen to have a spot, then open. But otherwise, what I'm really looking for somebody that's within about 5 years of retirement. It'd be nice if they were 59 and a half. If they've been at the company a while, if they've got a pension, just give them some indicators as to what I'm looking for when they invite so they can prioritize because we're on the same team at this point. They get to go fishing and we get to hang out together and then they can bring one of their friends or two of their friends as well.
It's really, really awesome. Rob's crushing it. He's surging. He's bringing in more team to help with the growth. So great insights, great sharing. So, keep it straightforward. I love the just casual invite. It's nothing like awkward or strange conversation. I think it's a good point that, when you work with these clients for a while, you know them pretty well and you can be pretty candid and say, hey, I want to grow with more people like you. And look, the clients who are going to refer and bring people, I mean, the people, think about someone that's referred you in the past. They're going to be totally open to helping out here, right? I mean, they'll have the mindset of helping. And remember, you get them involved with planning it and what you do, when you do it, all those things, they suddenly have ownership over it. So, Rob's really implemented these steps here and it's working. So great stuff, Rob. I think Rob's our next Trevor Shakiba for sure. So thanks for being on, buddy. We really appreciate you.
Anytime. Thanks, John.
Cool. So Coach Brandon here, we're going to spotlight him here, get some good insights. We have an awesome guest we're also going to get to here. But Brandon, you see lots and lots of advisors in what they're doing. So when it comes to CAB, when it comes to fun events ideas, what do you see working out there in the field for advisors?
I mean, first and foremost, it's getting out there. People want to get out. 76% of people in a recent Ameriprise study said, we want to go back to face-to-face. We want to get back out and start doing things again. Getting ahead of that, getting things set up is the first step. So as you think about what's important now, it's just getting them set. That's how you're going to win. Get it? What's important now? Win. It's a free one. So getting out there and having these things planned. Again, when you're thinking about your client advocacy boards, a really good tactic or a really good step is have someone else run them for you. Whether it's John, myself, someone else you trust. If you're not in the room, you're going to get a lot better feedback from those folks to kind of share some things you can take away, and then back end that with a little event. Get in front of them and introduce how you want to do more of these. The key is just get them on the calendar and start running.
It's great insight. Really great insight to get it going. When it comes to, just think about ongoing management of this and the flow of these. Sometimes we'll see advisors, maybe start a CAB, they'll get something going, then it kind of dies off. Or they might say, hey, I'm going to do a couple of events. They get really, busy with the event. Maybe they get some new people from it. They get busy, and then the activity kind of dies off. So, working with teams, and Brandon works with some larger teams, some of the really large practices in the industry. I mean, to get this jump started and take it to another level is one thing. And I think what a lot of people will take away from this, but how can advisors keep this going, Brandon? How can they keep some consistency on having regular CAB meetings, regular events, and they're just like, they've got this planned out for the year, for next year? What do you see in work there?
Put someone else in charge of it. Don't do it yourself. Have someone on your team be in charge of managing the events, creating the event calendar. When someone walks in the door, they're getting a handout that says, hey, here's our upcoming events. We'd love to see you at some. By putting someone else in charge and empowering them to do that, you're going to be able to get a couple things going. One, you'll have someone else regularly making sure these things happen. Someone else is going to be able to do the follow-up. And when you get calls, when you get outreach from wholesalers or other folks, have someone else connect. Say, hey, want to help us host a happy hour? Start leveraging those opportunities to put more things on the calendar. If you manage it yourself, you're going to get bogged down. So have an event guru that is your go-to person that manages the whole process end to end, and you take it off your plate. You just prepare to show up, shake hands, and meet people.
It's really, really tremendous. It's like a role at a team. It's not a full-time role. You don't have to go out and hire a full-time person of this. Some practices outsource that. There might be someone you could get that does this. Maybe that's what they do. You get outsourced to them. There's also some I've seen some practices go together and say, hey, let's have the 5 of us, hire this person to help us with marketing things. Lots of solutions there, but a lot of times it's just a role of someone existing on the team. It's not a lot of work, it's a lot of time, but it's such great advice that it advises you got to get this off your plate. Your role should be, targeting clients that could be part of a CAB, who could be part of events, actually personally inviting the people to be part of the events. Like, that's your role. That's probably things you don't want to delegate. You don't want to invite people through an email. You don't want to invite people through, a team member, having them call and invite. And the reason is you can interpret the event when you personally invite them. Someone might get an email and say, like, Brandon invited me to this fun thing. I don't know if I'm going to do it. But if it's something where it's, it's really special and they need your help to understand why it's special, that's what it's about. That's where we can really talk to people and discuss with them. There's not going to be any sales here. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a friendly environment, or the other people attending are just like you. There are other executives in the tech industry, to use that example again. You can have a big difference when you personally talk to somebody to invite them, as opposed to the email. You can probably do it better than team members. You probably have a better relationship with the client than your team members. So just remember those steps. These little things make a big difference to pulling off the event. I get a lot of times asked, hey, should there be business discussed in these things? And just pure fun events are the best. Just make it about whatever the fun thing is. There's an advisory coach for many years. One of their best events was going to 80s rock band concerts. They would bring a client. They would say, hey, I've got 4 tickets. Here's 3 of them. Why don't you invite 2 guests? They wouldn't talk any business. They would just go and just enjoy Def Leppard, Motley Crue, whatever the band was. They would just go and enjoy it. And almost every time those 2 guests became clients because it was about the fun. The new advisor was somebody that they went to fun 80s rock bands with, not the stiff that spoke at a seminar or something like that. They really create a different, deeper connection with the prospects. You're connecting on a personal level, right? There's no barriers of this, I don't know if this person's going to sell me. I don't know if I want to do business. It's just, hey, we're just other humans and we're drinking wine, or we're going to the rock concert, or we're fishing. We're doing the thing that we really enjoy. So inviting them to help make sure that happens and you interpret that really helps. And then making sure these events are just about fun are huge. We got a lot more when it comes to following up from the events in our workbook that we're happy to share with everyone. But any other thoughts, Brandon, just what's working there on, before, during, or after these events?
For those small ones and those mini events where you're leveraging clients, those are some great tips. I know Brad, we're going to spotlight him in a second to talk about if you want to go bigger and you want to get in front of more people and have some of those more seminar type events, that's going to be where Brad's going to come in. So, I think we've got a lot to chew on from those little events, John, from that side of it.
Great. Well, Brandon, introduce Brad. This is a really special guest, and really excited to hear this segment.
Yeah, so Brad Swinehart here is from White Glove. He's also host of one of the leading financial advisor podcasts, Be Advised. If you haven't heard that, check it out, especially an episode about WOW. You can hear yours truly on that one. But Brad joins us. He's with a company called White Glove. And what they do is they create webinars, seminars, or they handle the process so that you can stand out as you want to get in front of larger groups, to get in front of more prospects. I think, I don't know the exact numbers. I know White Glove's working with almost 10,000 plus advisors across the country, doing tons of events there. And what's really cool about White Glove is it is like top-notch events. I was telling John a little while ago about, I read a stat from AARP that they put out there that says 25% of advisors that do these free lunch events give poor advice or unsuitable recommendations. So that's what AARP is putting out. People are hearing that. So the free lunch events, you don't want to be in that crowd. You want to work with someone like a White Glove that's going to take, as we just said, all of that inviting, follow-up off your plate. But Brad's here to tell us a little bit more. So, again, White Glove, you may have seen him in Financial Advisor Magazine, Investment News. Brad does, NASDAQ articles. So they're connected. It's not a small shop we're talking about. So, Brad, thanks again for joining us.
We used to be a small shop.
What's that?
I said we used to be a small shop.
Right.
We were two advisors came up with this idea back in 2015, and we started in their basement of all places. And very simple mentality that seminars are the best way to grow your practice. Get in front of people and educate them, and knowing that seminars are awful. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of risk. At that time it was, how many mailers can you send out and pray people that show up? So the mentality behind it was like, well, what does an advisor really need to grow their business? And that is, a lot of what you guys are talking about is to focus on what they do best, focus on those connections, and stop doing all the minutia of the event planning and the marketing and all of that sort of thing. So we really came up with a system that does all of that for an advisor. I mean, we are the experts now at digital marketing. We've been doing it for 7 years. We've done more than 30,000 seminars, both in person and now virtual, and we did it all with our marketing dollars. We spend all the money up front, and advisors pay on the households that sit in front of them, which is still blows my mind that someone hasn't just copied us and started doing it. But at this point in the game, it'll be hard to catch us, right? But what that allows us to do is to learn so much data about what is exactly working, what topics are working, what venues work the best. And, when an advisor works with us, it's really consultative. Like, this is the best performing venue. This is the best performing topic right now. This will bring you a higher affluent audience than this topic will over here. And really, we work with advisors to kind of meet their goals and see what works. The stats that we have available to us, if you want to do a library or a community center, you're going to see a 50 to 60% attendance rate based off your registrations. If you do that same topic and you do it in your office or a building connected to your office, you're going to see less than a 30% attendance rate. They might still register, but they're not going to show up. And, just the paying attention to the consumer audience and what they're most concerned with allows us to say, hey, how do we find those affluent people and get them in front of advisors? And you guys are kind of spot on with the fun events and not talking business. It's the same thing here, but it's leading with education. If you can get in there and teach them about Social Security, if you can teach them about how their retirement assets are going to be taxed, what happens in 2026, if you can talk about those things and educate them and come in with value, then they're going to say, oh, you know what, I need to work with that guy. Let me get 30 minutes on his schedule in order to find out how my personal situation relates to all of those things. We have advisors just absolutely crushing it. And, at the end of the day, it's your prospects and in your ideal areas you have people that would be your ideal client, and they're going to get their information somewhere. You know, whether it's Google, whether it's attending a webinar, or whether it's going to an in-person event, they're going to get that information somewhere. And now is kind of that opportune time to be that knowledgeable professional, to stand up in front of those people and say, hey, you know what, I'm here to help you. And one of the interesting things that happens more often than you would think is when we have advisors doing these regularly, they'll have a client come in and sit down in the seminar. And the way we market, we're marketing for that topic. We're going to market a taxes and retirement event. Come learn from a local professional. Their client walked in and sat in that seminar without knowing their advisor was the presenter, which means they had questions, they had concerns, and instead of reaching out to their advisor, they went down to the local library or community center to learn more. And if you think about that, you know, how many clients in your book might think the same thing, you know, that might be wanting that information. So what we always say is, you know, do white glove events to bring in those prospects. It's great if you do webinars as well, but then, you know, take all those people that didn't show up and re-invite them to a second event in your office and bring all your clients in for that one as well. That way you're shoring up the base while you're also attracting new prospects. And that's one of those rotations, right, that you should work in there. Client events where you're doing educational stuff, prospecting events where you're doing educational, as well as some of those, you know, I'd much rather go to Def Leppard and drink wine than go to learn about tax and retirement. But, you know, they each have their own place, right? So.
Absolutely. So, you know, working with white glove, like, what does that look like? What do you guys do? I mean, I had an overview of it when I, you know, talked to you and I've heard about it. I mean, the big thing that always sticks out to me is you only pay for people that show up. But what does that look like? What is the process? And then
we try to make it as simple and consultative as possible, where the advisor gets to come to us. They say, hey, this is what my ideal client looks like. This is where my ideal client comes from. I love meeting people and shaking their hand. I am 100% comfortable meeting people virtually and closing business. And this is what my growth trajectory looks like. At that point, we're going to make some recommendations based on an educational topic, Social Security, taxes, estate planning. We'll pick either in-person event or we'll do a webinar. And once we kind of have those nuts and bolts of this is the blueprint of what we want to design, the advisor goes back to work. They go back to being an advisor. We set up the venue, we pay for it. We run the marketing, we pay for it. We do everything we can to drive registrations into attendance. So once they register, we call, we email, we text. And the advisor, their job is to either show up on Zoom or show up at that library, rock that presentation, and book appointments. And that's it. They pay us after. They pay based on the households that actually showed up. They get to set their budget. So if you want, you know, 20 households, you tell us. If you want 50, you tell us. If you want 10, you tell us. And if you order 20 households, an easy number to think of is $300 per attended household. It's a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on topic and location and style and all that stuff, but easy math. But if you order 20 and only 18 show up, you only pay for those 18 households. The risk is totally on us. If there's, you know, a Zoom outage and the webinar doesn't work, if there is a snowstorm and nobody shows up, if, you know, there's some crazy tweets going on and everybody's glued to the television to see what the heck's going on with Ukraine or Johnny Depp, or, you know, I don't know, there's a global pandemic and no one shows up at your seminar, the advisor is totally covered. That they're only paying once that person walks in, sits down, and listens to them speak. And then ultimately what we know is that advisors only make business when they get appointments. You know, just getting somebody in front of you is only part of the battle. So we do 45 days of follow-up with those people as well for the advisor to book more appointments. And that's phone calls, text messages, and emails, all saying, hey, grab your time on Noah's calendar and let's make it happen. So we really want to be that kind of end-to-end one solution where you just walk out like Mick Jagger, you sing your songs, and you go back to the tour bus, and we're going to do everything else.
Awesome.
That's awesome. What you know, folks are interested. I know we're doing a little short overview here, but you know, what do they do? How do they get in contact? How do they get more info on this?
Well, we try to make it really difficult. It's whiteglove.com. Otherwise, because they're with your group, and Brandon only allowed me to come on here if I gave you guys all a special deal. So we are going to give 20% off your first order with White Glove. If you fill out the link that's in the chat right now, you automatically get $250 off anything you do with White Glove. And we'd love to just have a conversation, sit down, see if it's right for you, see what your goals are as far as getting in front of new prospects. You know, maybe webinars are a good fit, or seminars, or, you know, maybe even just our list marketing services where we'd help you stay in front of your current clients and prospects. But it's all from an advisor's mindset of what brings in business and what retains business. And that's really what all our products and services are based on.
Yeah, and that's cool because your founders are still advisors, right? They still have a practice. So you're doing this, they're living it. It all comes from folks that are doing it each day, which is kind of cool.
And they like to say they're the test track. I say they're the guinea pigs. Any crazy marketing idea that White Glove comes up with, we make their office try it. And if they can't book appointments and close business, we don't do it. We don't. It doesn't matter how cool we think it is. If they can't book appointments and close business, then we don't roll that out to the rest of the market. We move on to the next idea. So we've done some really interesting things that have been awesome, and some things that just were terrible for them. So it's kind of fun to use their office to just play a little mad scientist a little bit behind the scenes. So
awesome. What a great way to outsource all of that stuff we were just saying. Again, advisors, meet with clients and prospect, all that other stuff. You don't need to do it. Here's a plug and play resource that has been working for, 5 figures worth of advisors across the country. So, Brad, thanks, man. I appreciate one coming on with the deal and sharing this info. I know you and I are going to be on a webinar here in like a month or so. We're going to feature even more on that. So again, folks, reach out to Brad, have that conversation, and he can get you started. Again, the first step, what's important now? Get moving. That's it. It's time. We're 3 months after a downturn. That's when people start to get antsy. They start looking to move. They start looking for that advice. And we can continue to do that. Brad's a great resource.
It's awesome. It's a prime time of the year too. So go for it. We'll send that link out with the replay. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, just click down in the comments. You'll see the link there. But we really appreciate that, Brad, giving a discount for D2 advisors. It's awesome stuff. Looking forward to advisors growing and getting more. So thanks everyone for being on. Thanks for tuning in. And hey, stay awesome out there. Keep getting results.
See you.